Hi guys. So we are going to make our Disney princess today. So we have the very lovely and the very gorgeous Belle here. So this is who we are going to make today. So in your kit you will need, or you will have received, some yellow clay, some orange, black and white clay. Okay, so what I want you to do is open the sachet of yellow, take out all of the yellow clay, give it a good old stretch and fold. Now, Belle's dress is more of a gold colour, isn't it? So we want to make this yellow into gold. So what I would like you to do is to take a pinch of orange. So open your orange, take a pinch out, probably about the size at the minute of a peanut M&M. Okay, so add that into the yellow and then stretch and fold. And don't forget, guys, you can put me on pause whenever you want. So if you need time to do your stretching and folding or finish the step that you're doing, put me on pause and then take me off pause whenever suits you best. Okay, so we want to get a sort of gold color. I think I could do a wee bit more, so I'm going to add in a teeny wee bit more orange into that color, and I'm going to stretch and fold until I get what I think is a nice gold color. So I've got a Belle here as an example, so I can always compare mine to Belle's, but you'll know if you look at it yourself, if you're happy with the color. Yep, I'm happy with that. If you're happy with the color you've got and you think it's a nice gold color, well then you're good to go. Okay, so what I want you to do is to roll that into a sausage, and I want you to cut it in half. Okay, so cut it in half, set one half to one side, right there, and then roll up the rest into a ball. Okay, now this is going to be the base of Belle's dress. Okay, so whenever you've got a ball shape, I would like you to set it on the table, show me your high five hand, fingers together, hand nice and straight, put it to the side of the ball and roll forward and back on one side to get your droplet shape, just like this. Okay, and then set it upright on the table. Give it a bit of a tap, okay, bit of a tap so that it has a flattened bottom, and then with your thumb, press down on the top to squidge down the top a little bit so that it has a flatter area on the top, so that whenever you put your head on, it doesn't just roll off. Okay, so you can see it's flatter at the top and it's flatter at the bottom so that it stays upright, and that is the bottom of her dress. Now what I would like you to do is to just set that to one side and bring forward then the rest, the other half. Okay, so what I would like you to do with this bit, still in a little sausage shape, is to cut off 1/3. Okay, so if you need help from mum or dad, now's the time to get it. So you need to cut off 1/3. Okay, so I'm going to cut off 1/3. I'm going to set the bigger piece to one side and I'm going to roll the 1/3 into a ball shape. Okay, just like this. Now, whenever you've got it in a ball shape, I would like you to make that into a short sausage. So let's roll forward and back, just like that, forward and back. Just a very short sausage, just like this. Okay, and then hold it between your finger and your thumb upright and give it a squeeze so it looks a bit like a marshmallow. Okay, so a little cylinder shape, flat at the bottom, flat at the top. Now we're going to set this on top, so this is going to be the upper part or torso. Okay, we're just going to set that on top just like this. Okay, I'll set that on top, just keep it on the table just like that. Don't worry, it doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, so that's that part. So she's got a dress, she's got an upper part, a torso. Okay, so now we need to decorate it. So if you look at my Belle here, okay, so she's got lots of lovely parts to her dress there, and that is actually very, very simple to do. But what we're going to do, if you notice, some of the bits of gold are a darker gold on certain bits. Okay, so we're going to create a few different colors so that we can add this to the dress and it looks very flowy. Okay, because princess's dress is extremely important. Okay, so we're going to add a wee bit more orange. So I'm going to pick out another little bit of orange, about the size of a pea, guys, okay? Because you remember we're using less clay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this in half. So take the gold colour and cut it in half. We're only going to make 1/2 of this darker, and we're going to keep 1/2 as the gold colour that it is. So add some orange to 1/2, give it a wee stretch and a fold. Okay, and you'll see that that becomes a darker colour. Now again, I think it needs a wee bit more, so I'm going to add a little bit more orange. Now better to add smaller amounts and build it up, because if you add far too much orange, then you might have just made it too dark and it's really hard to go back. Even if you start adding more yellow, it's really hard to correct it. So better to add a little bit of orange and then add more if you need. Okay, now what do you think? I think it needs to be a wee bit darker again so that you can really tell the difference. So I'm going to add another pinch of orange. Okay, so I think that that's definitely it now. So if you were doing that again, add a piece of orange about the size of a Malteser. Okie doke, so we have 2 bits of gold. We've got a darker gold and a lighter gold. Lighter, darker. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take a pinch of the lighter gold, which is going to be her little bolero that comes around the top. So if you can see, a little bolero here. It's the same colour as her dress, so we want to make sure that we've got enough clay to do that. So I'm going to cut this in half, okay? And I'm going to keep that piece of clay to be able to make her bolero. Alright, now, so we've got this small piece of clay left. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 3 pieces. So I'm going to roll a sausage, boop, 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 just like that. And then cut it into 3 pieces. A 1, a 2, and a 3. 3 pieces and roll 3 ball shapes. Okay, again, if I'm going, or you think I'm going too fast, because I know I can go a little bit fast at times, just put me on pause, guys, okay? Just put me on pause. So, we now have 3 ball shapes. 3, and with the little bit over to one side for her bolero, don't forget about that, okay? It's over to one side. So we've got 3 of the gold, and then we've got the darker gold here, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to do the same thing. So let's make lots of the darker gold balls to match the same size as what we've got there. So pinch a little bit off, roll it into a ball, and just set lots of them on the table. Okay, I'm going to go for 5 ball shapes. Okay, and I'm going to leave a little bit to the side for almost like a little rim around her waist, if you can see it there, like a little belt almost, okay? But that doesn't go on until almost the last part of the dress. Okay, so what do we do now? We're going to use our thumbs, okay? Thumbs up for Christmas, and we're going to flatten down each of these ball shapes, okay? So give them a good old squidge and just keep them on the table. Squidge them down. Mine are working out about the size of a 10-pence piece, okay? Just so that you can compare that. So, yeah. So just flatten down. Don't worry, they don't have to be perfectly round, okay? It's just that they're flat. And this is going to make up our dress, okay? So flatten those down. And you can flatten them even if you lift them up in between your fingers. You can give them a squidge in between your fingers, okay? Just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her dress and I'm going to fan out the bottom a little bit, okay, so that she stands upright. So I'm going to use my pinchers and I'm going to pinch the sides of the dress to just flatten that out a little bit, bring it out a little bit at the sides. So I'm just putting my thumb underneath and my finger to the side and squeezing them together, and that will make that dress come out a little bit further underneath. You see that? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add these layers so that it looks like a lovely flowy dress, okay? So again, give the clay a good squidge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of the darker orange on first, and you see how it's overlapping, so that's going to sit on the table. Okay, so just the one. All right, and then I'm going to take another one of the same color, give it a good squidge. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap, so I'm going to put 3 of these on, and they're going to be spaced out, well spaced out. Okay, just like that. I know that probably looks odd at the minute, but be grand. So then take the lighter gold, okay, and in between the 2 of the darker golds, a bit higher up, I'm going to place this lighter gold, and I'm going to do that around the dress. Okay, so fill in your gaps, give it a good squidge, fill in your gaps. Okay, and then I'm going to take the other 2 pieces of the gold, darker gold, and I'm going to bring it up the dress a little bit, and I'm going to put those 2 on at the 2 sides. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the darker gold, what's left, I'm going to take a good pinch off for the rim around, so about the size of a large pea, okay, or a peanut M&M. I'm going to set that to one side. That's going to be the little belt or the little rim across her waist. So we have a little bit left here, okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of black, teeny tiniest little bit of black, and give that a stretch and a fold. And this is going to create almost like a black colour, not black, brown colour. Okay, so you can see it on the front of Belle's dress here, and that just splits up the colours a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to cut this in half. So roll a sausage, cut it in half. Now you can do 4 if you wish, 4 smaller pieces, but I'm going to do 2 of the brown colour. Okay, I'm going to roll 2 ball shapes. Alright, and I'm going to give those a good squidge down, exact same thing as we've done before. Again, they don't have to be a perfect shape. Give them a good old squidge down, and then I'm going to fill in the gaps again where her wee dress is. And just fill in those gaps, just like this. This is her dress. And then with the smaller, darker orange, the little bit that we'd pinched off for the rim or the belt, we're going to take that. I'm going to give it a wee stretch and a fold actually, because it's been sitting out. So a wee stretch and a fold, make sure it's lovely and soft. The softer the clay, the better the finish. All right, so stretch and fold, and then let's roll a sausage. And we want this to be long enough to go around the middle of Belle, so around her waist. So make that long enough that it's going to go round her waist, and then see this part of your hand here, that's the flattest and smoothest part of your hand. We are going to use this to press down and flatten out our clay, just like that. And then I'm simply going to put it around the waist to cover the join. So start at one side, wrap it around. If it overlaps, guys, that's fine. Okay. Just like this. I'm going to sneeze. Well, excuse me. Okay, so that's her little belt, or a little bit in the middle there. Okay, so before we can put the bolero on, we need to add her arms, and if you can see just in there, she has a teeny tiny wee neck as well. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to take our white clay out of the sachet. Okay, take it out of the sachet. Keep your little bit for the bolero off to one side. Give it a wee stretch and a fold the odd time, okay, to keep it nice and soft. But if you can take the white clay out of the sachet that you've got, okay. So, let's see. So, take that out. Give it a good old stretch and fold. Your white. We don't want to use all the white, okay? So what I want you to do, I want to use it all. So roll it into a sausage, and I want you to cut off 1/3. Cut off 1/3. And set that to one side. We're going to need that for her eyes, okay? But we've got this big lump left because we have her head, her neck, and her arms. So we're going to add the tiniest little bit of orange. Almost said yellow there, didn't I? So a little pinch. Again, start small, about the size of a pea. Start small, add that in, and stretch and fold, okay? If you add too much orange, guys, it'll not be a good colour for skin colour, okay? So a little pinch of orange, stretch and fold, and this is going to give us Belle's skin colour, skin tone. And of course you can make Belle whatever skin tone you want. You might want to make it a different colour altogether, and that's okay. So you go for it. Now, what I want you to do here is to take, once you've got the skin colour, once you cannot see any white and any grains of orange, it's all one solid colour. Okay, I want you to take about the size of a peanut M&M, okay, and roll a ball. Okie dokes, roll a ball. And then we're going to make it into a short sausage. So roll forward and back with your finger, and it should look a bit like a Tic Tac sweet. Okay, and we're going to pop that between our finger and our thumb again. Do you remember we did this earlier with the body? And give it a bit of a squeeze so it'll look a bit like a mini marshmallow. And we're going to set that right on top of Belle's body for her neck. Okay, that's her wee neck. She's starting to come together now, isn't she? Okay, so we need to have arms. So what I want you to do is to take a pinch about the size of a Malteser. Okay, and I'm just going to measure that out. That's maybe a bit too big actually, let's see. So make it slightly bigger than a Malteser, about the size of a small marble. Give it a good old stretch and fold. Make sure it's lovely and soft. As I've said, the softer the better. Okay, so slightly bigger than a Malteser. Would it be? Yeah, would be. Slightly bigger than a Malteser. Now we're going to cut this in half. So roll a little sausage and cut it in half. And this is going to be for the two arms, okay? So cut it in half, okay? And then roll two ball shapes. And then we're going to roll this into two sausages for arms. So forward and back. Excuse me, gosh, I'm sneezing today. Okay, so forward and back, two little arms, two little sausages, you see that? Now, to make this look more like an arm, we want to have a little hand on the end. So just with your pinchers, just give one end a wee squeeze, just to create a little hand, okay? You see that? So do that on both. Pinchers, a little squeeze on the end, just like that. Brilliant. And make sure the hands are at the bottom, okay? And you just want to pop those two little arms either side, okay? And you're just touching the dress, don't touch the neck. All right, so we've got two arms on. And what I'm going to do now is add the bolero. So let's take our last little bit of gold, give it a good old stretch and fold. And we want to create a sausage shape, a bit like the belt for the middle. Roll it into a ball first, and then using the flat part of your hand, back and forward into a sausage, long enough that it's going to wrap over her shoulders and down, okay? So this is mine. Now, flat part of your hand again, press down nice and gently, flatten that a little bit, okay? And to put this on, I want you to start at the back, okay? At the back of Belle, because the two ends are going to meet in the middle at the front here. You see that? See the two have met in the middle? Okay, so start at the back. So hold your sausage. The middle of the sausage goes to the back of the neck, and then you just wrap the two bits around either side, and they just touch in the middle. Okay, so that's her little bolero on. She's looking good. Okay, now probably the most important bit is Belle's head and her beautiful brunette curly long hair. Okay, so what we're going to do is take the rest of the skin color. We're going to take the tiniest wee pinch off for a nose, but I'm going to stretch and fold it first of all. Okay, so stretch and fold. Make sure it's lovely and soft. Okay, take the tiniest little pinch off for a nose, because look, she's got the cutest, tiniest little button nose. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure my clay is really soft. The softer the better. Okay, so I'm going to take a little pinch, tiny little pinch, set it to one side, and then let's start rolling this into a ball. Best way to do it is down on the table or the work surface, whatever you're using, and apply a bit of pressure. So push down a little bit harder when you're rolling. That's going to take out all your wrinkles and creases, because we don't want Belle to have a wrinkly head. Sure we don't. So ball shape. Now we're going to take it out of the ball shape slightly, so set that into the palm of your hand and roll forward and back just once or twice to make it into a slight oval shape. You see that? Now you don't want the oval shape to be upright, but sideways like this. Okay, take your little piece for the nose, and you make the nose as big or as small as you want. Okay, I'm going to go for a wee tiny button nose again. Okay, roll it into a ball. Okay, and again you can make that into a slight oval shape just by rolling forward and back. I'm going to lick my finger just to be able to lift this, and then it goes just anywhere, absolutely anywhere at this stage, onto the front of the face. So this is going to help us define where her eyes go. Okay, so put your wee nose on there and just set it on the table in front of you. Great. So back to our white. We'll want to pinch off about the size of a pea. Put the rest of the white back into your wrapper, or if you've got some cling film or you've got actual little clay pots, then pop those back in there. Let's give it a good old stretch and fold. Okay, stretch and fold. Now, for the eyes, okay? This is about the size of a pea. We're going to cut this in half. I think that this might be a bit too big, okay? But you can decide how big you want your eyes to be. So let's cut it in half and see how we go from there. But we might want to make them a little bit smaller, but let's do that. So it's about the size of a pea, and we're going to cut it in half for the two eyes. Yeah, I think it's going to be all right, actually. So two small pieces, let's roll them into ball shapes. Okay, 1, 2, and then we're going to make these into two droplet shapes. So using your finger, put your finger to the side of the ball, okay, and roll forward and back, but only on one side. So you want it to be pointy, only on one side. See that? Okie dokes, do that with both. And then press down to flatten those. And I'm going to show you the Belle that I've already got so you can sort of get an idea. So the point of that goes up, see here? So the rounded bit is into the corner, and then the point goes up. So there, you can see that. Okay, so whenever you've got those flattened, you should have a pointy part on it, and it's going to point away from the nose. Okay, and I put them at a wee bit of an angle so it looks a wee bit better. So I'm going to pop those on beside the nose, just above the nose actually. Okay, just above, but to the two sides, just like this. It's going to look really strange at the minute, but don't worry. Okay, fabulous. Now, she's got lovely brown eyes, so now's the time to make the brown for her hair and her eyes, okay? So I want you to take the rest of your orange, whatever you've got left, okay? So whatever you've used for the dress, which couldn't be a whole lot, all right? Take the rest of the orange that you had, okay? And we're going to use it all. So here's your orange, and I want you to add a pinch of black, about the size of an M&M sweet. Add that in and stretch and fold. This is going to make your brown, lovely deep brown. Okay, so stretch and fold until all the orange disappears. And then you're going to pinch off 2 tiny little bits of brown, 2 tiny little ball shapes. Okay, so pinch those off. I mean, they're super small. They're even smaller than, you know, Million Sweets, even smaller than that. So I've got 2 little ball shapes in the brown. Okay, give those a little flatten, so press down with your finger, press down, and if you lift up, it should be stuck to your finger, so you can sort of see the size I'm using based on the tip of my finger there. And I'm going to put that into the corner of the eye, so the rounded part of the eye, and I'm going to show you that just now. So closest to the nose. Okay, so the points are still pointing away. Yeah, great. So now I want you to take 2 teeny tiny little bits of black. Okay, they need to be smaller than the brown that you've just used. So 2 tiny bits of black. Okay, super tiny. All right, roll those into ball shapes. And then press down, lift it up on your finger. You can see it's a bit smaller. And it goes onto the brown, but to the corner of the brown. So right into the very corner nearest the nose. Okay, so you can still see a little bit of the brown. You've got the black, and then you've got the brown, and then you've got the white. Okay, now if you're very good with the clay and you can use teeny tiny little bits, okay, I want you to take the tiniest little bit of white. Now mum or dad might need to help with this bit, okay, but you're going to make the same thing again out of white, but like super tiny. I'm going to roll the tiniest little bit of white, and I'm going to pop this onto the corner of the black. I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm going to show you. As soon as I've got it on here, I'll show you. Okay. So you've got the black, you've got white now, you've got black, then you've got the brown. Okay, so the white is like almost like the shine on the eye. Okay. A bit like the Powder Puff Girls. Right, now you can at this stage, if you wish, add eyelashes and eyebrows. Just like this, Belle. Okay. Now, to do that, I've used black. So again, you're just going to take the tiniest little bit of black, about the size of a Million Sweet, and roll it into a sausage. And then you can cut it using one of your tools. Okay, so you can cut, once you've got a really long, thin sausage, this is the easiest way to do it, okay? Then you can cut off the size that you would like for your eyebrows off the 2 ends. So just cut 2 tiny little sausages off the main sausage, touch it with your finger, and then just pop it on. I'll show you, as soon as I've it done, I'll show you. Okay. So that's our 2 wee eyebrows on. See that? It's literally just 2 sausages. And with the rest here, so what I'm going to do is this last little bit of sausage that I've got left in the black, I'm just going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to use this for the eyelashes. And all I'm going to do is make sure I've rolled it long enough. And I'm going to line the top of the white. Okay, so you see the wide eye? I'm literally going to set it on top of the white. Okay, and let it hang off the end. So I'll do it and then I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going to set that. Sometimes if you lick your finger, it'll hold the clay a wee bit better for you. Now this isn't something that you actually need to do. So if you're really quite young, mums and dads, if we've got a very young one at home, you know, it's not going to make any difference if Belle has eyelashes. Okay. So I've literally just, if you can see that, I have just set that on top of the white. So a very fine black sausage, and it's just resting on top of that white piece. Okay, she's looking good, I have to say. Looking good, Belle, looking good. Okay, now I am actually going to pop her head on at this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lick my thumb and I'm going to rub the top of Belle's body where the neck is, and I'm going to touch the head on. Okay, and just putting a bit of moisture on there is going to help adhere that. Okay, wee baldy Belle, there she is. Still looking good though. Okay, so the hair. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is I'm going to take a good size pinch of clay, probably about the size of a Malteser. Okay, you're going to be really hungry by the end of this. Stretch and fold and roll a ball about the size of a Malteser. And then I'm going to use my high five hand to press down and flatten that out. Okay, give it a good old squidge. And I'm actually going to pop this on to Belle's head so that whenever we create the curls, if there's gaps between the curls, you're only going to see brown, so you're not going to notice that there will be gaps. Okay, so I'm going to pop this on across the sides, down the back, not too much towards the front, but okay, and that's just the base for her hair. Okay, grand job, Belle. Right, okay, so the rest of the brown, give it a good old stretch and fold.